the word that came to mind to me while I was hiking was, I said, "This is like a pilgrimage." It's physically demanding. Um, it's the process of doing the through hike over reaching Katahdin. It's everything that you learn about yourself, and learn about the experience along that journey from where you start, to Katahdin, or if you end in Springer. And it's about community, the shared experiences, which I think is something that all religions have in common. It's kind of a pilgrimage, and even if you're not religious, I think that most Appalachian Trail through hikers, they experience some sort of connection to, or at least an understanding of their higher self during a through hike. Through either prayer, meditation. I think that most through hikers will experience that or have experienced that. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, Jesus went into the wilderness, and he would go up on the mountain to pray, and God will speak to your heart when you're on the trail. We are so inundated with technology and filling our lives with so many things. And when you get out there and it's still and quiet and hard, in the freezing rain and snow and wind and lightning storms and having Jesus to trust. I was never afraid because the guy was with me, and a lot of people would say, "Did you just do it? Take off on that trail by yourself?" And I said, no other person was with me, as far as they didn't start with me that I knew anybody that went with me. So I'm going with you. But I said, God's always with you. And we were hiking through a thunderstorm, coming into Harper's Ferry, and it was worse than you can absolutely imagine. 30, 40, 50-mile-an-hour winds, lightning was popping all around us, and it was Boulder from Maine. And he was scared to death. And he said, "Dude, are you not scared?" And I said, "No." I said, "Jesus was with me." I said, "If nothing's going to happen without him, his permission, and he knows everything." And I said, "If he takes me home with a bolt of lightning," what Paul says, that wrote most of the New Testament, absent in the body, present with the Lord. So I'll go to a place that's unimaginably wonderful. So I never worried about that. And he said, "Man, you've really got some faith," because it was some kind of tough. And you may remember coming into um, Harper's Ferry, the trail went under a bridge. The
Yes.
overpass was overhead, and we got there, and it was like buckets of water that were coming off the places for the bridge there. But we got there, and there was a lot of pigeon poop there, but we didn't mind being in the pigeon poop because we got under that bridge. So, but yes. I have a neighbor whose son did the trail years ago and wrote a book, and he was telling me about it. I looked it up, and on the cover it had the name of the book, and it said under it, it says, "If you walk too slow, your mind will catch you." Well, let me tell you, you can't walk fast enough on that trail for your mind not to catch you. You get to reflect on every part of your life and what's been and what's to come.
Yeah, I agree. And I enjoyed the disconnect from the news and from social media. I mean, the only time I vlogged, I YouTube my whole hike. So I, I had that, which I personally, it's a creative outlet for me. I enjoy shooting video and nature, and, capturing all the different things along the way on the trail, animals and flowers and insects. And I really like the waterfalls and the brooks. Even just a simple brook running by would grab my attention. And but you don't have that distraction that we have in our everyday life when you're off trail. And so I did have a lot of those internal conversations along the way, and you learn a lot about yourself and what you're capable of doing too. You're pushing
Yes,
through.
I don't know if you went through it, but of course I got to go through it twice because I came off. And you just feel like you've got unfinished business, and I still do. And it was so hard for me to come off the trail when I was injured. And then you go through a depression, kind of. I'm sure it's worse. It was worse for me because I didn't get to finish and have that closure. But even people that finished like you come off and you just know what you're supposed to do every day, and you just do it. And then once all of a sudden that's gone, it's just kind of like you look around and like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah,
I was,
I definitely when I finished the trail, every month that's gone by since I've been off the trail, I feel like I reflect and I learn more about the experience and how it's impacted me in a positive way.